G'day guys, Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under with another installment of Behind the Classics. In this installment, we take a look at the 49th feature in the Walt Disney Animation Classic canon. It was the return to traditional animation after a period of 5 years. However, unfortunately, due to a terrible marketing plan, it also became one of the final traditionally animated films in Disney history. It is, of course, 2009's The Princess and the Frog. The Princess and the Frog marked Walt Disney Animation's theatrical return to traditional hand-drawn animation for the first time in 5 years, and was both the studio's first Broadway-style musical comedy picture and first picture based on a well-known tale since the end of the Disney Renaissance 10 years earlier. In the early 2000s, foreseeing the downfall of traditional animation in favour of the rapid popularity of computer animation, then Disney President Michael Eisner announced that 2004's Home on the Range would be Disney's last ever hand-drawn film. Eisner proceeded to close multiple studios and lay off hundreds of animation staff in the process. In 2005, Disney released Chicken Little, their first fully computer animated movie. Upon the movie's critical failure but modest box office success, Eisner resigned from his role as Disney president, ushering in a new era of Disney administration. Joining Bob Iger as newly elected Disney president were Pixar's Ed Catmull and John Lasseter, both of whom dreamed of returning Disney animation to its glory days once again. In his new role of Walt Disney Animation Studios' Chief Creative Officer, Lasseter announced that while the studio would continue with computer animated features, they would also focus on bringing new, traditionally animated features to the screen. Lasseter had begun to herald a new era of Disney animation, which film critics and Disney scholars alike began to dub the Disney Revival, or Disney's Neo-Renaissance. Rehiring many of the Disney animation staff from the era of the Renaissance, Lasseter threw The Princess and the Frog straight into production. Disney even went to the length of hiring Aladdin and Little Mermaid directors Ron Clements and John Musker to helm the feature. While receiving positive audience feedback and an Academy Award nomination for Best Animated Feature and 2 for Best Song, the movie was considered an underperformer at the box office. The studio put the failure of the movie down to a lack of interest in traditional animation within audiences, who'd begun to accept computer animation as the norm. However, the studio mainly believed that the movie's female-centric title neglected a male audience, thus halving their earnings. 4 years later, in his book Creativity Inc., Catmull expressed that they'd made a mistake with the inclusion of the word princess in the movie's title, even after the marketing division had warned the animation departments against it, citing that audiences would think that the movie was for little girls only. It's for this reason that then in production films Rapunzel and the Snow Queen were retitled as Tangled and Frozen to appeal to a more gender-neutral crowd. In my personal opinion, bad marketing was the downfall of The Princess and the Frog. It was the big return of traditional Disney animation, but it certainly wasn't advertised as such. Instead, initial trailers almost made Princess and the Frog look like a bad rip-off of a Disney princess movie, but with African American leads as the hook. The film came and went without much hurrah, with audiences hesitant to revisit Disney's fairy tale world so long after it had left. Oh, and let's not forget that some smart alligator at Disney marketing decided to open the film only 5 days before James Cameron's Avatar. You know, the film that went on to become the highest grossing film of all time worldwide. Yeah, maybe that had just a little bit to do with the failure of Princess and the Frog at the box office. The film really is wonderful, with gorgeous animation, a beautiful story, interesting characters, villains worthy of the Disney greats, and of course a spectacular New Orleans jazz-infused score from Disney legend Randy Newman. But we must appreciate Princess and the Frog for all of its flaws and shortcomings, and give John Lasseter and Ed Catmull props for making the last great traditionally animated Disney film. Of course, the studio would once again test the waters with the traditionally animated Winnie the Pooh in 2011. But after another struggle to market the movie properly, it too failed. Disney are yet to revisit traditional animation again. Thank you for joining me for this installment of Behind the Classics. If you've enjoyed this mini documentation and would like to join me for future installments, to make sure you keep up to date, please, after the jump, hit subscribe. Thank you once again for watching, and to absolutely everybody out there, I hope you have a magical day.